Hey everyone, it's Mike Mangialardi here from Coding Artist, and I wanted to do a quick video explaining how media queries work with pure CSS images. So in front of me you see a Nintendo Switch, which I made with purely CSS, and I forgot to include the media query when recording the video, which works out nicely because now I could do the short video explaining how to add media queries, and our Nintendo Switch is going to be a very good example of how we'll need to use media queries. First, let's look at what our image currently looks like when we tried to shrink the screen size so we can see what the issue is. So if I start to drag this, you'll see that it always stays in center, so it's looking good. The issue is when we get to a certain point that it starts being cut off and it needs to resize, but it isn't. So how can we do that? So the reason this is happening is because we have a width of 600 pixels for our box. And our box is the outer container by which everything else is going to be styled, as you can see. So what needs to happen is we need to adjust the box at a certain breakpoint. And that breakpoint is going to be 600 pixels because that is the size of our outer box. So I already have a media query copied, and I'm going to paste that in here. So here what we're doing is we define a media query like so, and we're saying when there is a device that has a max width of 600 pixels, which again is the breakpoint because our box is 600 pixels, then we're going to need to resize our box. Now for the most part, everything's going to adjust because everything is positioned according to the size of the box using a percentage. So if we change the height and width of the box, it's going to automatically adjust. So what we can do here is we can go ahead and resize our box on mobile. And here we see that I changed the width to 250 pixels and at a height of 175 pixels when we have a device that goes below 600 pixels. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like. All right, so let's take a look at our current image now that we had the media query. So we see for the most part that our image is adjusting, and again that's because we're resizing box and everything is percentage based as far as being sized and positioned according to our box. So when our box changes, everything else is going to change. However, there's some errors going on here, and the errors are going to be in regards to our border. So here we have some borders around our analogs, and we have some borders along this logo. And we need to resize our borders so it doesn't look as big when it's on a smaller device. So to do that, let's first get our logo left and our logo right. So I'm going to copy the logo left and logo right and paste that in here. Now there's all these values which we're styling, and we only want certain ones to change on mobile, specifically the ones that affect the border, so we could get rid of everything else. Like I mentioned, we want to resize our border, so let's do a border of 2 for each of these, and let's make the radius, so we don't want to be as curved as much on these edges, so let's change it to a border radius of 10, and we'll do that for all of these. Now let's take a look. Now we can see that it is much better. However, we can probably make it a little bit bigger as far as the border width. So let's change it to 3 pixels, and we'll take another look. And that looks about right. So now we have our logo that's been adjusted for our mobile device. Now let's go ahead and adjust the borders for our analogs. So there's 2 CSS classes, analog left and analog right. So let's also grab those and paste it into our media query. So I copy that and I paste in here. And now I'm just going to get rid of everything else except our border, which is what we want to change. And let's change it from a border of 5 pixels to a border of 2 pixels. So we make those changes, and now let's go ahead and see what this looks like. And there we see that that looks more like how we originally had it, and we can leave it like that. Now the other thing we're going to change is this last button that we had right here, which I believe we called circle button right. So let's grab that as well, and we'll have to update the border. So I can go ahead and copy this, And I'm going to go ahead and paste this into the media query as well. And now what we can do is get rid of everything else except what's related to our border. And this is a border radius of 50%, which makes it a circle, so we don't want that on mobile either. That's going to be the same. And let's also change this back from 5 pixels to 2 pixels. And let's take another look. Okay, there we see everything is looking much better. The only thing that we're going to need to change is that we don't want these Joy-Cons to be as curved. So let's go ahead and adjust that. So in our CSS, we'll also find our Joy-Con left and our Joy-Con right, which is right here. And we'll copy and paste this again. And we only want to change the things that are relevant to our borders so we can get rid of everything else. We want this to be a smaller curve, so we could change it to 5 pixels for each of these. Now let's see how this looks. So there we go, that looks much better. It looks like we missed one, and I also want to make it a little bit more curved. Oh, there, just updated. But let's still go ahead and make it a little bit more curved. So let's do 8 pixels for each of these. And now let's go ahead and take a look again. And we can see that now it looks how we want it. So guys, that is how you do media queries with pure CSS images to make it mobile responsive.